Welcome to the Workamper Show, brought to you by Workamper.com. This podcast helps you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. Each one of our episodes will introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to work camping opportunities all around the U.S. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
Today we're diving into a topic that has revolutionized RV travel and how work campers live and work, that being solar power for RVs. This episode is sponsored by Workamper News. If you have more questions and answers when it comes to the work camping and RVing lifestyle, then Workamper News can help. Listen to their free work camping Q&A videos to get your questions answered. Each video answers questions submitted by folks just like you who are learning about the RV lifestyle, just getting started, or who have been work camping for a while. The videos cover topics like what kind of work camping jobs are out there, what do those jobs pay, tips for writing your work camper resume, questions to ask an employer, what type of RV works best, how to get your mail as an RVer, and much more. Listen to detailed answers now by watching the videos at workamper.com/answers. In the description of each video, you'll find a list of questions that were answered so you can quickly jump to the answers you want to hear. Check out the free work camping Q&A videos to get your questions answered today. My guests today are Justin Mowery and Nick Sauble, the co-founders of RV Solar Concepts. It's a mobile installation business based near Phoenix. What began as a weekend hobby for these Navy veterans has grown into a thriving business, helping RVers enjoy more freedom and flexibility through solar energy. In this episode, you'll learn why solar is a smart investment even for part-time RVers, what kind of equipment is needed to run everything from lights to air conditioners, the pros and cons of lithium versus lead-acid batteries, the importance of doing an energy audit before installing any solar system, and how to avoid common mistakes when hiring a solar installer. Whether you're new to RVing or a seasoned work camper looking to ditch the generator, this conversation is packed with practical advice, real-world examples, and money-saving tips to help you stay powered up wherever the road takes you. To tell us more about their company and solar power in general, please welcome Justin Mowery and Nick Sauble, the co-founders of RV Solar Concepts, to the show. Thanks for joining me today, Justin and Nick. I really appreciate the time. Tell me a little bit about RV Solar Concepts and how it came about.
Yeah, it was started off as kind of a weekend gig doing stuff on our own rigs. You had the solar panel.
Yeah, it kind of slowly started out of nothing. So like most businesses, it starts out as a little grain and it just kind of grows from there. We were actually found a good place in Santan Valley. There's a place called Santan Solar where they have really, really discounted used solar panels that maybe got installed for a big solar field or something like that. And then they never really used them. They just needed them for mock-up and then they got rid of them. So they were essentially new, but they were selling them for like $40 or $50. So it started becoming more of a game of arbitrage at that point. We'd go pick up a bunch, we'd sell them online. And then from there, we had people just continuously asking like, oh, well, do you install them? We're like, well, no, we don't install them. But, you know, it triggered the idea. So we did the first couple renditions of what we do now on our own personal stuff, tested it, made sure everything worked. And then we kind of built from there on that.
When did you start the company?
I think 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Right in time for
Somewhere
COVID.
About,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It could not really have hit a better time in terms of business for us because the RV market went crazy when everybody got stuck inside for a while. So
and everybody
COVID
wanted to boondock. Exactly.
Yeah, COVID hit at a good time for us because we were pretty well established at that point. And then everybody was trying to go and do, you know, outside stuff. So we just got super busy. To a point where we started doing it full time and it's luckily stayed busy for us up until this point.
Have you been RV technicians in the past?
So not RV technicians.
Okay.
We both started and met in the Navy as fire controlman was our rate, but it's an electronics job, right? So we both worked on weapon systems on a destroyer. That's how we met. That's how we've stayed friends for I don't know how long now, 15 something plus
15
years.
plus.
That's been a long time.
Wow.
Then we worked out at the Palo Verde Nuclear Generating Station as instrument techs.
Okay.
That's what we were doing when we started doing this RV stuff on the side. So we were working out there, and then we were doing this on the weekends, and it just, slow growth, but it took off faster than we expected, to be honest. Um, to the point where we decided to leave the plant out there and just do this.
How exciting. It's
Yeah.
certainly a area that many RVers are looking into incorporating solar into their rigs and setups. I know the interest is high, especially for people who want to avoid being fingertip to fingertip in the campgrounds. So that's
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
So you will help them identify their needs, how much solar power they need, and suggest systems for them. Is that what you do?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's honestly a huge part of what we do outside of just the installation.
A lot of people, they don't really know enough about the space. They're new to RVing, they're new to the whole concept. So they can't really come to you and say, "Oh, hey, I need 1200 watts of solar to run all these things." So that's kind of where we step in, and that's the service that we provide in addition to doing the work itself, right? So that ends up being a big obstacle relief for many people. I know a lot of people have paid for services like that, where they'll have someone set up the whole thing. But if they're not very keen on doing the actual installation portion, there's a lot of inconsistencies that they'll see. So when they go to have somebody install it, they may not be familiar with the parts that the person who designed it lay out. So we kind of do it from cradle to grave process. You call and you tell us what you're looking for in end functionality, and we fill in the gaps and do the whole install for you to be possible for you to accomplish whatever goal you're looking out to be. And that sometimes is as simple as they just need solar to charge their batteries day in, day out and keep their propane fridge running. And for other people that wanted to sell their house during COVID and live full time, they want to run both air conditioners and everything in the coach as if they're plugged in when they're not. So it can vary wildly.
I can imagine with the different options that are available. Is it worth it for RVers to install solar?
In a lot of cases, it really, how much money, right? There's a teetering point of how much you want to put into a system to get functionality without becoming irrational about other ways that you could produce that power. So if you don't have a generator or you don't want to lug around the generator, have to bring gas, I think most definitely it's worth it, even a small system. Just to cover basics, I would say there's no RV that shouldn't have enough solar to just charge your battery bank for the normal 12-volt uses day in, day out. So you're not running a generator for X amount of hours per day just to keep the batteries charged. I'd say at a minimum, that's probably what everybody would like to accomplish. And then from there, it's just what kind of creature comforts do you want to bring with you, and what are you okay not having to not spend the money on, basically, at that point. But a base system to keep the batteries charged, from what we've done and people we've talked to and how we camp, it just seems like the bare minimum. So you're not having to run that generator or bring one with you just to charge batteries.
Yeah, that's one of those things that if you've never had it, you don't know what you're missing. But we've had so many, I can't tell you how many people who have come and even just done a basic system to do that. And then they'll come when they get their next rig and be like, "All right, guys, I need to do some more panels because now that I've had it, I can't go without it." Even if it's just that solar to keep that battery charged, to keep your lights running and your heater and, all the basic DC stuff. It's awesome to have, and it's super convenient.
I know many RVs are coming pre-wired for solar, and they might have a single panel up on top. Is that enough to keep the batteries charged?
Depends on the batteries,
Mm-hmm.
depends on the user. That's one of the biggest things with all of this is, what fits one person may not fit the next. And that's why, kind of back to that last question, the first thing we typically ask people is, well, what are your power goals? What do you want to be able to do? So if we have, had customers who are very, very light users, and they can get away with like one of those factory 190 watt, 200 watt panels, and then get by on that because they just don't hang out in the trailer.
Before we kind of got really deep into all this, I actually had a trailer that I bought brand new. It was my first RV in that regard. And it came with a single 190 watt Go Power brand panel and solar controller built in from the factory. And I would run my generator minimally to, keep batteries topped off maybe right before going to sleep or something. But outside of that, for running a propane fridge that runs off of that and just needs the igniter to be 12 volt, heater at night, you're running the blower motor, stuff like that. I had like 2 Group 27 lead acid batteries on the front tongue, which is pretty common amongst most setups that are coming from the factory. And I ran my generator very little, even with that, just a single 190 watt panel on there. So if you're doing very, very light stuff, it can work out fine for the user. As soon as you start talking about going to like a 12 volt compressor style fridge, or as soon as you add an inverter to be able to run other loads, or you leave the lights on frequently, or you're a big stereo person with it out, that's when you're going to start kind of tapering down. You're going to need more production to get those batteries full by the next day's nightfall.
Is it true that you would probably need different systems based on the climate you're in as well? I mean, RVing in Arizona would be a bit different than RVing in Wisconsin in the fall.
That is a fact.
Yeah, solar. Yeah, when you see solar numbers, the solar number is in perfect conditions in a laboratory with all the perfect amount of lighting that they can put in there to create the perfect UV setup. That's the maximum that panel will pull out, right? So a lot of the stuff that we have to do also for customers is expectation management is really important. We like to deliver a fixed product at a fixed price and have you understand the result you're going to get for that. We hear too many times people go to a big box place or a big dealership and just have something put on. Those guys are not experts. They have a kit that they have in stock and they put it on your RV and they call it good. They don't use it. They've never tested the systems to know. They don't get feedback from the user. So a lot of times you run into just them being unhappy or dissatisfied for what they paid for. And that's another struggle with the solar thing. Like you're saying, if you go to Wisconsin, 400 watts in Wisconsin will put out a drastically different amount of power than it would in Arizona, where there was no clouds all day, perfect sun.
Exactly.
So yeah, it definitely does make a difference where you're going and how much you'll need to compensate for that.
I know up in the Midwest, rain and, overcast skies are common. And we don't see that often here in the Phoenix Valley, that's for sure. So I would imagine, how much sun is actually needed in order to get the solar to work? Does it work under cloudy conditions?
It does. It's just a diminished output, but it will still put out.
Okay.
It'll put out current to the batteries. It's just like anything else, just like winter versus summer sun and overcast versus, no clouds at all. It'll all produce. It's just at different rates.
Okay. Somebody wanted to install solar on their system. What is the first step they should take?
To do it themselves or just starting to get into the idea of having someone do it?
I would imagine they'd need to have somebody do it. It's not something that would be an ideal do-it-yourself project for most people because the electricity is involved. Am I correct on that?
A lot of times it's actually funny. We have a lot of very capable mechanics and stuff like that will have us come out and do the electrical. They're like, hey, man, I can take stuff apart, put it back together. But as soon as it comes to electricity, I pass that off to somebody else. So it seems second nature to us now. So it's weird for us to think about it like that. But you're probably right. Yeah, most people probably do just want to have someone else do it that knows what they're doing.
Okay. So what would they need to do? Yeah.
The first step, though, to that, to kind of like answer your question, is they need to kind of think about what they want to power. There's also things, you can do what's called an energy audit, and there's a lot of stuff on the internet. If you just search that energy audit for RV, there's many templates available out there to kind of give you an idea of like, these are what all these appliances run. And some people take it really far and they'll like camp and actually track their wattage uses. That's getting pretty into the weeds. Generally, when people call us, we can give them an idea what they need just based off of a conversation. But finding out what you want or what they want to power at the end of the day, that's what they need to figure out, So that's why that's the first thing we go after when someone contacts us is, what do you want to do? Let me give you a realistic expectation of what that's going to take.
Okay. So people need not only a panel to capture the sun, but they need some sort of device to take that energy and put it into the batteries as well. Converter, is that what it is? Or an inverter?
You're talking about the solar controller.
Right. Solar controller.
Yeah, solar charge controllers basically have an input from the solar panels or your whole array, either one or many. And then that uses an algorithm to then shift it back down. So you can have on MPPT, multi-power point tracking controllers. That is what we recommend. And that's the only thing we install for people that are doing it themselves, though we definitely recommend having an MPPT versus a PWM controller. It gives you much more flexibility over how you can set up your array. So once you have the input from the solar panels in, it then takes that and converts the energy down to what the battery needs at that current time. So if the battery is lower or higher in state of charge, it can vary the output in amperage and voltage to achieve a full battery. And then once it gets to certain parameters, they're usually in the settings. Once you set that to where it needs to be, it will taper back down and it becomes completely autonomous. You don't have to mess with it. Sun comes up, it starts doing its thing. Sun goes down, it turns itself off, and it kind of just does that day in, day out.
Okay. What type of packages would an RVer need? Again, it goes back to what they want to do. If they just want to keep the lights on and the battery topped, that would be different than running the TV and running the air conditioners, especially, I would assume. How many panels maximum would an RV need?
Well, we've had systems as large as 4,000 plus watts, and we've had, and if someone wants to run an inverter, which is what will allow them to run those TVs and all the 120 volt stuff, right? We always tell people, try to do at least a minimum of 600. If you can afford 800, you can afford more, do more. We avoid at all costs and tell people, like, we don't do the used car salesman thing. I'm not trying to like upsell you all the time. But solar is one of those things that, like, if you can afford some more of that, it never hurts to have more of that. But once you introduce an inverter, we say, 600 is minimum, 800 is even better, and anything above that, you're just supporting that inverter more, getting those batteries charged faster, so that you go into the night with a full battery.
Inverter use just kind of puts an extra load on the batteries that's going to deplete the system faster than just the 12 volt loads would. But as a general rule of thumb, we try to size our arrays to have at least 2 times the amount of wattage on your solar array than you have in usable amp hours of your batteries. So if you had 200 amp hours of like lithium batteries, we would want to do at minimum 400 watts of solar to make sure that you're getting fully charged by the end of the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, until you add those bigger loads in, like inverters and stuff, then that's a whole nother ball game.
Very difficult to calculate. People that want to run an air conditioner runs at about 12 to 1500 watts, depending on the model.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about a solar array, knowing that no solar is going to be 100% perfect efficiency, right? So if you have 2000 watts worth of panels, you might be seeing 12 to 1600 of that at perfect out here in Arizona with the flat mounted on the roof and they're not tilted towards the sun. So there's a lot of efficiency things to think about too. So if I say, okay, I want to run a 1200 watt load continuously like an air conditioner, you're probably going to want north of 2000 watts worth of actual panels to be able to accomplish that comfortably.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned tilting toward the sun versus the flat panels. I have not seen any RVs that have the panels that tilt toward the sun. Is that something that you would install? That sounds like it would increase the height of the RV significantly as well. Or is it something that...
They sell brackets that are made for that.
Okay.
But they're manual. So you have to go up the basic ones at least. Now there are, and I have seen fancy setups where they put them on DC actuators and it'll take the panels and tilt them up and back down. But that's very rare. We have had customers ask us to put the panels on the tilters, which are just the manual style where you go up and they have, wing nuts that you have to undo, tilt the panel up, put the foot down, screw it back in. The feedback that we have got from that is, I did that a couple times. Then it was super annoying. Never touched it again.
I would imagine that would be annoying if you were just staying overnight in a campground. But many of the work campers are in the one location for months at a time. So if they get
Yeah.
more efficiency by tilting it, that might be an upgrade that they should consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a lot, yeah, like you're saying, for most people, it's probably not. For the added cost, for the added benefit, and then the pain in the butt of running up and down the ladder. If you have a ladder, attached at all. If not, you got to bring one to do it.
That is a good point from the work camper perspective.
Yeah.
They're traveling, working for a while, working for a while. I think the people that we got that feedback from they're just traveling, so they're going place to place to place. They don't want to do that every week, but in that perspective, especially if you're not down here in Arizona, if you're up in the Midwest, where you don't have as good a sun, if you can get your camper faced appropriately and get those things tilted, you will absolutely have drastically better output.
I think it's
throughout the day.
I think it's about 20%. When you get the angle correct, it's 20% increase over flat mounted.
Wow. That would be significant.
Yeah.
No, it does make a big difference.
The biggest time you'll notice the difference, though, for people doing it is in winter when the sun physically revolves lower in the sky than it does in summer, where it goes directly over. In summer, flat panels, we've seen several times them actually get full output. If you put 1200 up there, we've seen 1200 coming in. And in some cases, if it's even cold on a weird cold day, but it's late in the year, so you still have high summer sun, we've actually exceeded the amount up there. So that we thought that was interesting. But yeah, in wintertime, the tilting is going to yield you a lot more if you can get set up where you're tilted towards the southern sky. Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Okay. So the default one panel systems that are coming with the RVs don't really provide a lot of power. So when they hear a salesperson say it comes with solar and they think they'll be able to operate their entire system with that one panel, they're going to be greatly mistaken, I would imagine.
Yeah. And we've had a lot of customers that have come to us and had that exact scenario. Yeah, I bought this. We started seeing it a lot when they started coming out with the 12-volt fridges. They would put that single panel up there and be like, yeah, it's good. And then they go camping one time and their batteries are dead midday.
Okay.
And then they come to us and we're like, yeah, that's not going to cut it. It's frustrating, for them, and for us, it's just like, why are you guys selling this stuff? You're misleading these guys. It's just straight up not true what you're telling them. And that's annoying for everybody. So we have done a lot of jobs where we have just, upgraded people's solar systems to the point where they can run their 12-volt fridge continuously while they're camping. And it's a afterthought. They don't even worry about it anymore. And that's what they were expecting from the dealer when they bought that, but that's not what gets delivered.
Right. I can imagine. Speaking of batteries, are there some that are ideally suited for RV use versus are some better than others, I guess is what I'm asking.
Anything that's rated for deep cycle usage. So a lot of people, if you're trying to stay on the cheaper side of the spectrum and you have lead acid, like flooded lead acid batteries that you have to keep up on the water, the best scenario for those is using golf cart batteries. The size is called GC2. Most people will switch over to those. They usually come in 6-volt variety. So you have to buy them in pairs and wire them in series to get your 12-volt output to be usable in your RV. But they are designed for being charged up and then being discharged, just like they would in a golf cart scenario. They ride it all day, they come back, they plug it in. So those typically do much better than your typical like starter battery looking, group 24, group 27 that you'll find on the tongue of a camper, mostly coming from the factory. They order those in pallets because they're cheap and they get them out the door like that. But if you want to upgrade without going all the way to lithium, which is the best that we have now, GC2 golf cart batteries would be that option until you step into that lithium realm.
I was unaware that you could even use lead acid batteries with solar systems. So thank you for educating me on that. I always thought
the parameters are a little different, but
okay. Super.
Yeah,
so
the only thing that changes is your charging parameters and obviously maintenance. You got to keep up on the water.
How much more expensive are the lithium batteries versus the lead acid batteries?
Initial cost, they are more expensive, although they have come down significantly.
Yeah,
all the lithium
pretty drastically after they hit the market. they started getting a lot of competition. You'll see a lot of different Chinese companies on Amazon that are now all fighting for that slot. So competition has brought it down a lot.
It has. You can go on Amazon right now and get 100 amp hour, whatever Chinese brand it is this week, because they seem to change a lot. But you can go on and get them for as cheap as like 130, 150 bucks, which is inexpensive.
I don't know how they're able to do that, ship them here and everything else, but
yeah, I don't know, but they're there. We don't promote those brands because we just don't trust them. But if someone is truly on a budget, they want to go lithium, there are those super cheap options out there. And we don't force our customers to use the brands that we like to use. If someone wants to bring their batteries, we'll install them for them. It's no big deal. But because of the drop, I think it was last year or the year before, and I don't know why, but all of the cells being manufactured over in China saw a significant drop in price. And that brought all the batteries down. It's not like a whole lot more expensive to go lithium if you're going to go on that cheaper side than it is lead acid anymore. And there's many benefits.
Yeah, especially when you just look at longevity. Most companies are warranting their lithium batteries for 10 years. So, I mean, when you're talking about 3,000 cycles from, 100% to 80% depleted, they're warranting them for 3,000 times that you can do that. So, I mean, most campers would never see that in a lifetime of camping when you use your RV 10, 15 times a year max, maybe. So it's definitely a good option. There's no maintenance on them, which is another key point. So you're not out there changing the water and making sure that you don't prematurely destroy your batteries from lack of maintenance. So it's kind of a buy once, cry once, and then set it and forget it system. So
yeah,
I like
and
that.
we've had customers come back to us who we installed lead acid, like GC2 style banks for, and they'll come back. And we always tell people, hey, you need to maintain the water, make sure you know how to maintain these batteries. And we walk them through it. They'll call us a year later and be like, man, my batteries don't work anymore. And first thing we ask, how's the water?
what water?
What water? Oh, and then the cells are dry and they're destroyed.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about that with lithium. So
Super.
there's many benefits to it.
So is there an advantage to using an American company versus Chinese company and providing the equipment or getting the equipment?
If you can find one.
I say find. Yeah.
Okay. So
finding that is hard in the solar stuff, whether it's batteries. There are, USA made panels. They're hard to get a hold of and they're very expensive. Lithium battery wise, I don't know of any USA manufactured. You've got companies like Battleborn who are USA assembled.
Yeah.
They say assembled because their parts are still made in China.
Okay.
I think all cells are either made in like China is the big one, obviously, and then like Indonesia and other weird outskirt places like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any actual lithium cells that are being produced anywhere except for foreign places. So I don't even think you could source all of the parts to make something. But yeah, if you can find an American company doing it, it's going to be significantly more expensive, as you'd expect.
Good to know. I do know that
I'd love to go that route. It's just hard to find that route.
Absolutely. I think customers would probably appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
I've seen portable systems offered for sale as well, where you might have one big panel or two panels that can plug in. Would those work in an RV environment, or is that more for keeping solar generators charged?
No, they do work. We will recommend those to people who have very small RVs.
Okay.
You got the little tiny, like the R pods. I mean, they are small. Rigs like that, where maybe you can only fit one panel on the roof or two panels, but they want 600 or 800 watts. And we say, well, let's supplement with a 200-watt solar suitcase. We've done that a lot. And then we basically we say, okay, bring the suitcase with you and we'll create, some sort of connection on the tongue that makes it easy for them to plug it into. So they absolutely do work on an RV and they can be a fantastic tool for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, especially when people camp up north in the trees and stuff like that, you're limited. You either get the shade on your RV to keep it cooler for you, which means you've killed your solar production because you parked it under a tree, Or two, you buy these other panels that maybe with a 50-foot extension on the solar side, you can run that 50 feet away to a spot that's going to have sun all day, and then just kind of position it how you want and do that. It works great.
Be careful you don't drive over it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Or the mowers hit it when the campgrounds are out there doing the
Right.
maintenance and things
Or
like
people
that.
walk away with it. So it's
Right,
got its
yeah,
own
exactly.
cons, I guess, but they can be a great tool.
For somebody considering installing solar, what kind of costs are they looking for? I know it will depend on the system and their power needs and things like that. Can you give people a ballpark idea?
So for us to install our typical, like I said, honestly, we don't do many solar only installs anymore. We are typically doing at least solar and an inverter. That's kind of the base that people want. I mean, I can't even remember the last time we did solar only.
It's pretty rare unless we run into a case like he was describing earlier, where someone had the RV came from the factory with one panel and they decided it's not enough to do what they're doing, so we add a panel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in most cases, we're doing a solar system and an inverter to be able to convert their battery power to 120 volt power and give them the use of outlets and microwave and stuff like that, which is what most people are shooting for, is to eliminate generator use as much as possible, right? So whether that's just charging the batteries or having to turn it on so you can microwave some food for your kid and then get back to what you were doing, it's usually a pain in the butt. So having the inverter installed saves that generator use massively. Him and I both use CPAPs, so that's another thing that a lot of people have going on, where they want to power that through the night, but they don't have a 12 volt plug by the bed, or their machine doesn't have a 12 volt source to be able to run their CPAP machine. So a lot of people do that as well. Otherwise, you're stuck running the generator the entire night just to power a 50 watt load, so it's not really the most efficient way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So cost wise, I'd say like the base system, the whole point of that was like the base system we typically do is an inverter and some sort of solar to back it up. We honestly replace batteries with lithium batteries even as often, but to do like at least from us, our prices, we typically see our run of the mill install like that and about $4,000 to $6,000, depending on the solar size that they choose.
The inverter system for a 2000 watt inverter to run all of your outlets and your microwave, that's pretty much standard priced amongst every class of RV that we have, and we do that for $2,200 total installed, taxes, everything.
Oh, okay.
So from there, the solar side can get as big or as little as you'd like. Right from there, we recommend a minimum of 600 watts when paired with an inverter system, and I believe that runs somewhere in the 2,500 range total installed on that side. So if you want to go more solar, you might creep up into the $3,000 range to have more solar for that, and then the inverter side is 2,200. So you land somewhere four to 5,000 for those two.
Does that include the batteries as well, or is the batteries extra?
Batteries would be separate from there.
Good enough. Yeah. Now, you folks are based in Phoenix, but Phoenix is very popular with snowbirds. So people can come all over the country to Phoenix, especially in the fall, winter, and spring. Would you take clients like that who would just be in the area for a little while?
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Yeah, we do it a lot.
So we don't have a brick and mortar shop. We stay mobile. But him and I are neighbors. We live across the street from each other. We both own an acre each. We have a section set aside just for that reason. We get people from all over the country, and snowbird season is obviously we see a lot more during the winter time. But yeah, we bring them in. Honestly, a lot of the time, unless we're doing a big install, like a big, Victron Multi Plus inverter charger, that's usually a 2-3 day install. But if we're doing a 2,000 watt inverter even if we're doing lithium and solar, we can get that done in a day. So people can come in, they can drop it off. We usually give them recommendations, try this place out in town for lunch, whatever. They just go hang out, do whatever, and then they're back by the end of the day, and we go through everything, and they're on their way.
Would you, because you're mobile, would you do a campground install, or do the campgrounds frown on that kind of thing? No, they do. Okay.
We do. We just ask that they.
You got to get permission from the owner first to make sure that we're cool doing maintenance on there. I think we've only been turned down like one time by a place that was a little more hoity-toity type, not wanting the liability of it, which is understandable. You want people running around on a roof of an RV and fall off on your property. I'm sure that can open you up to a nightmare, but most are pretty accommodating.
Okay.
Yeah, campgrounds and storage units, storage facilities.
Good to
We've
know.
done a lot of both.
Mm-hmm. And so the time to install is typically less than a day.
Yeah, unless you're getting a pretty
Yeah.
large system, yeah,
Okay.
we knock it out in one day.
Okay, that's great. If people are looking for a installer outside of the Phoenix area, what are some things that they would really need to look for to ensure that they've got a professional who is able to do that?
Just you need to really, really vet whoever you're going with.
Yeah.
We've done multiple installs where people call us after the fact. They've had another company come in, and we get there and we're just looking at it in shambles. Like, what is happening? For one particular customer, we actually had to write like an affidavit of how we found the RV because they completely wired it wrong. And then they had have us come fix it for even more money, but they had already paid that company for some reason. They paid them before seeing the results of it. And that's just something I wish something professionally, there was a way to kind of help people avoid something like that. But it's really going to come down to your personal ability at vetting the company you're going to go with. Check their reviews online, go on Facebook and look at their installs prior to yours. Make sure that they look clean, and never pay anyone any money until the service is done and they showed you how it works.
And it's
That's
tested.
the killer. We ask these people, like, you gave them money. Did they show you that everything worked? No. Why would you pay them? Don't. The service is not done until you've seen it working and you've proven that you've gotten what you paid for.
Yeah. We do not require deposits on our systems unless we're up in the big system. Like, even if we're doing a Victron Multi Plus with all the fancy stuff, Servo GX, touchscreen, all that stuff, we'll ask for $1,000 deposit, even if it's a $20,000 system. That's the only time we'll ask for deposit. Other than that, we don't do it at all.
Oh,
Yeah, it's full price at the conclusion of service when you're happy with the install.
Yeah.
If somebody's running it differently than that, they probably don't have all of their stuff aligned business-wise the way that they should. And if you can't trust they're running their business correctly, I'm not sure you want to trust them working on your stuff. So if they say they need a deposit to have materials, all these materials are pretty much the same from rig to rig. They should have, at least a setup. We keep a fully stocked trailer that we use for our mobile stuff. But I mean, it's not like a huge amount of items that you'd need to keep in. So that would be a red flag that I would watch for. If they're requiring any money up front and you're not doing $15,000 to $20,000 worth of work with them, I would say that that's probably a red flag and you should probably go look for somebody else.
they're very good. How can people connect with you if they would like to learn more about the services that you folks provide?
Facebook. We have a lot of our install stuff on Facebook. And we've recently, within the last year, we've started up a YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. The economy is kind of fluctuating recently. We've seen the ups and downs throughout the election year. We got really slow in the fourth quarter of last year. A lot of uncertainty. It seemed like, once the election was done, it ramped up, and then all the talk about tariffs and all this other stuff, it ramped back down. And so we're riding the waves of the economy, but
it's been interesting.
So to fill in those gaps, we realize a lot of people want this stuff, but maybe don't have the funds now to pay for a system they would like, and they would like to try their hand at installing it themselves. So we've kind of pivoted in our business to provide a structured environment to learn all these things that we have learned over the 5 years of doing this with our electrical backgrounds from the Navy and nuclear, and then doing this specifically for 5 years now. We've learned a lot and really honed in our systems, and we're trying to share that with everybody else who can't make it to Arizona to have the install done, or just doesn't have the money to have an outside source do it. That will now be available to them.
So
that's through our YouTube channel.
Yeah, through the YouTube channel. It's just RV Solar Concepts, just like the business name.
Yep.
Is the website RV Solar Concepts as well?
Yeah, we have our website, just rvsolarconcepts.com, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. YouTube's what we're trying to push the most right now. We do enjoy making the videos, and it's kind of cool going on there. And we've been making a lot of videos based off of the feedback we get in the comments. So like, well, what about this? We'll put a video out like, what about this variation? I'm like, well, okay, well, we'll do that too, and it's kind of cool. It's been fun to do it, and we're enjoying trying to grow that right now. And and get as big as we can. Obviously, would be the ultimate goal.
Is that training available for free, or is it part of a paid class?
On the YouTube side?
Mm-hmm.
Nope, all of our content is free, so you're paying with your attention.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of RVers are going to find this insightful and hopefully spur them on to add solar to give them the flexibility that they're looking for.
Yep. It's a great way to stay powered up and moving across the country when you don't want to deal with the wait times in parks or anything else like that. So
For sure, and we'd love to help.
I'm glad I had the opportunity to interview Justin Mowery and Nick Sauble, the co-founders of RV Solar Concepts, about how to make solar work for any RVer. Installing a solar system on your RV can dramatically improve your experience on the road. Whether you want to camp off-grid, reduce generator noise, keep your fridge and lights running, or leave pets inside your RV without worrying about electricity going out, then solar power gives you the independence to travel on your own terms. The key is to start with a clear understanding of your power needs. From there, a custom system using quality components can make your RV feel more like home, with reliable power for everything from basic lighting to complex electronics. Justin and Nick explained that solar setups are scalable. That means you can start small and expand over time as your needs evolve. To learn more or to schedule an installation while you're in the Phoenix area, visit www.rvsolarconcepts.com. Today's episode was sponsored by Workamper News. Much more than just a job listing website, when you put the tools of this professional service into action, you'll find out just how easy it can be to turn your work camping dreams into reality. A Workamper membership opens the door to a one-stop shop for all things work camping. Being the original resource for work camping, you'll find the largest number of job listings, be able to connect with a community of work campers, and view resources compiled by experts who've been enjoying the RV lifestyle for many years. If you're serious about leading a successful and enjoyable work camping lifestyle, then membership is for you. Join today at www.workamper.com. Embark on new adventures today with the support of Workamper News behind you. That's all for this week's show. On the next episode of The Workamper Show, I'll be speaking with a representative from MyLeo Photos about a unique way to preserve and protect your digital images. If you like these interviews, please consider leaving your review wherever you download the episodes. Thanks for listening.